didn't bring my purse today.
All right. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our 2022 Orlando Pride Media Day press conference, whether you're in the room today or joining us on Zoom. We are joined today by General Manager Ian Fleming as well as Head Coach Amanda Cromwell. Just a bit of housekeeping before we begin. If you are in the room and you have a question, just please raise your hand and we'll bring a mic to you. If you're on Zoom, just use the raise hand button and we'll unmute your line to call on you. To get things started, let's open up with a question for both of Ian and Amanda. Obviously, this 2022 version of the Pride has seen a bit of changes in the off-season heading into preseason. Could you just get us started? We'll start with you, Ian, then to Amanda, on where you think the team is at this point in the preseason with Challenge Cup right around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, there has been a lot of change. It was a long winter of change, but it's a good group. It's a group that I feel really excited about. The quality is a lot stronger than I think people realize right now across the league and nationally. Within our group, I think we feel good about the players that are now here and part of what we're doing. So, across the board, it's going to be a situation in which there will be some growing pains, I'm sure. A lot of young players. At the same time, it's a really fantastic learning environment for those players to be able to play at this level now, be around some of the veterans that we have as well and continue that learning experience, then jump into games, and that will, I think, really accelerate the group's development both individually and as a group. So as we head into the Challenge Cup now, it's just an exciting time to really get into that and see where everyone is and start that development process throughout the course of the season.
Amanda?
Yeah, you have players gone for international duty. You might have some knocks, people out with injuries. So you're excited when you get the full group back together, and that's kind of what we had now, especially with the scrimmage last week with Kansas City. That was positive in a lot of respects, and considering things we were working on and what our data points were and how the video showed, it was really. For us, it was a satisfying scrimmage, and there was a lot of things that we could build off of. So. To echo what Ian's saying about the talent here, I think we're going to get underestimated a little bit, and that's fine. That's a good place to be in. I've been an underdog before as a coach and as a player, and I think this team is going to be really excited to kind of go out there and work hard and prove some things during the Challenge Cup. And that being said, we do want to play a lot of players during the Challenge Cup. We want to give players minutes, and we want to give them experience, and that's going to be really good for the coaches just to get another look in a different environment for a lot of the younger players.
All right, we're going to go with Austin David first, then we'll go to Rachel Krieger that's on the Zoom.
Ian, first question for you. With building this roster, kind of rebuilding it, if you will, talking to some of the veteran players that are still with this team, what was the kind of conversations that you had with them and to kind of buying into this new look Orlando Pride?
Yeah, I mean, there were certainly questions, of course, right? There's so many players that were a mainstay at this club for a number of years, players who were friends with the players that are still here. And there's always going to be a lot of questions about what the process is and what the future looks like. And ultimately, when you're able to sit down with some of those veterans that have been around and sort of talk through what this looks like, hey, this is a change. It's going to look different. But at the same time, we're going to make sure that the players that are coming in are of sufficient quality to make sure that we're still competitive. Yeah, it's a rebuild in a way, and at the same time, it's a restructuring. And we intend on being competitive. And when you're able to talk through, and again, there's a certain amount of trust that's been built up, a certain amount of equity between humans that I think the players feel comfortable in talking to me about these types of things and having these types of conversations, and that they trust in what my vision is as a GM and what Amanda's is as a coach to where we're trying to go right now. And so it really is just about having those communications at all to make sure that there's a line of communication between me and the players, and that it's just open and honest. And when they're able to kind of hear what it is that the plan is and will be moving forward, they understand and they're excited and they're happy about where we're going. So that's kind of the vibe that it's been around.
We're going to go to Rachel on the Zoom and then Alonzo in the back. Rachel, your line's open.
Thank you. My question's for Ian. Last year you spoke a little bit about like a balance between some of the younger players and those veteran players, and then in between veterans that have experience. How do you feel about that balance right now? Just kind of looking at the roster, I know you touched on that a little bit in your opening statement, but just kind of want to get your thoughts on that. Thank you.
That's a good question because it's been an adjustment, right? It's still something that's very important, I think, to have good veteran leadership, players that have the quality, have shown the quality for a long time. There's that middle area that I know, as you mentioned, I did speak of, and we've continued to add into that area a bit too. Getting in players like Megan Montefusco and Haz James. These are players that have been, around the block, been a part of this league, have shown their quality. And at the same time, it's rolling into a new era of young players as well. So, in that vein, we were the oldest team in the league, weighted by minutes played last year. Now I expect we'll probably be among the youngest because of these changes. But at the same time, that was not really a change in what the distribution of what we're looking for in terms of a balanced squad. It's a little different, but at the same time, it's still a good mix of veterans, players in the prime of their career, and younger players who are just coming into the group and looking to learn and contribute. So I'm still happy with where that is. I think that it's going to continue to be a process from year to year, but where it stands is I think we're in a good place.
Go to Alonzo and then right in front to Melissa.
Thank you, Aki. How are you guys? I have two questions, one for each. Coach, is it still the NWSL Challenge Cup preseason for you guys to build the team for the regular season? And for you, sir, are you guys still bringing more players so that they can increase the depth chart?
Yeah, regarding Challenge Cup, we will, obviously you want to win games. I'm very competitive, but that's not the only goal. It's also to develop and to see players and players in different positions that we've been working on, different relationships, and going over our system of play with those relationships on the field. So it's important for, say, goalkeepers to get a look and get some time, and knowing that we might need a different goalkeeper than the starter down the line. You never know when an injury might happen, so it's really important that players feel like they've gotten experience and are confident in that.
And as far as continuing to look down the line of what this team looks like and recruitment, it's always a work in progress. There's never a day that goes by that I'm not thinking about the future of this team. So it's always ongoing. Recruitment's always an ongoing process. It happens throughout the year. Conversations take place for players who are in other countries, players who are in Europe, potential things that could happen in the summer. Conversations with other GMs around the league talking about trades. There's always chatter going on. So it's always an ongoing process. It's always fluid. But at the same time, we have a squad that I think we feel good about. It's a great foundation for moving forward. And when the appropriate opportunities come, we can take those. But we're not going to rush this process either. I fully want to see who we have, what we're doing, and what direction I think we all want to go. So it's always ongoing, but we'll take the right opportunities when they come.
We're going to go to Melissa, then Mike Bianchi.
This is Melissa Thomas of Florida National News. This question is for you, Coach. In addition to obviously making sure that the players get a lot of play time, I just wanted to find out, are there specific tactical things that you want them that you're looking for the team to focus on heading into the Challenge Cup?
Yeah, depending on the opponent, it's gonna be really good to get scouting reports that are accurate, because right now the teams, like every team, has changed a lot. It wasn't just the Pride. So teams are going to be playing differently, different philosophies with new coaches, different systems of play. So when we have a good feel how Washington's going to play. We're very familiar with those players. I coached Ashley Sanchez, recruited Trinity Rodman, played against Ashley Hatch. I think one of the other forwards from SC might be a starter. So when we get a feel for what they might be doing, and then the next opponent, we'll have different schemes and setups to defend. What system, what formation might that be? And so those will be things we'll implement and try to fine tune with different players. And I mentioned the relationships on the field aren't always about attacking relationships. There's defending relationships as well. And how a back line working really well with their sixes. It's really important to see communication and how we can help each other on the field, especially with their defensive setup. And then in transition moments, Are we finding Marta in the right space? Can we find Sid higher up the field? How are we setting up players to score their goals and do what they can do best? So that's up to us to put them in that system that's going to help them thrive.
I'm going to bounce around the room. We'll go to Mike, Jamie, and then Luis.
Yeah, this is for both. I'm trying to get the answer to a very important question. Who is the GOAT? Is it Marta? Is it Michelle Akers? Can you have co-GOATs?
Wow, gosh, you're going to put me on the spot like that. I played with Michelle Akers, so I think I will always have her as the GOAT. But Marta, I've obviously watched a long time, and now seeing her as a player and her youthful energy and her passion for the game is unparalleled. And so I'll call them co-GOATs. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play with Michelle Akers, so I can't comment directly to that. But of course, I know what a fantastic athlete she was and what she was able to accomplish with our national team and over the course of her career. Just an amazing, amazing athlete. I've been around Marta now for a little over a year, and she's just tremendous. Just a great person and a wonderful athlete. She's got a different type of brain on the field. The way that she thinks about things is just very unique. Her fitness level is still, it's basically her and Gunny in fitness test. Two amongst our oldest players are absolutely the fittest on the field, and it's just wild to see how well-rounded she is as both a person and an athlete, and it's impressive. So in that sense, for me, in this moment, and what I've seen firsthand, I love Marta to death. I'm comfortable with the co-GOAT. I trust Amanda's experience with Michelle as well. But they're both wonderful.
Jamie, then Luis.
Thank you. I have two questions, one for Ian, one for Amanda. First for Ian, talking about Marta. When you lose the kind of star power you did in Alex Morgan and Ashlyn and Allie, how much of a benefit is it to have Marta there on the field, bringing fans in? And then Amanda, after he answers, I'm wondering, you said in your opening comment that you think your squad's going to be underestimated come the Challenge Cup. Why do you feel that way? What have you seen from them in training? Thank you.
Yeah, it's incredibly important to have a player like Marta around. Her attitude is always so good, it's infectious, and she's still a draw. She's a draw for fans, as you mentioned, and having people come and see our games firsthand and what the quality is. And at the same time, she's a draw from a recruitment standpoint, too. When I talk to agents and talk to players potentially interested in coming to our country, our league, our club, and they say, wow, I can play with Marta. Yeah. You can. It's great. So it's a good thing. The players, I think, respect her. They look up to her, and for good reason. She's just, like I said before, she's a good person and a better athlete, better person, even. So it's helpful to have both from a fan perspective within the locker room and makes my job a little easier too.
Yeah, I'll just add before I answer that question about Marta, we just named her captain, and she's one of those players that everything she does, you can tell she does it for the team, for the together, the cohesion, and very much a servant leader, and she wants to do things together, and that's for someone of her caliber, it's pretty rare. And like I said, it's been a pleasure to coach her and just kind of see her. It really is like this childlike love for the game that just exudes from her, and then it is contagious to everybody else. And that's maybe the part of the reason why I think, having Marta on the field, I don't think anyone should ever be underestimated with her on your team. And the ability of the team to pick up some of our concepts pretty quickly. Like we've been coaching them and defending different ways, defending higher, where we want to pick up the ball in transition moments, and I think the result of the Kansas City game was 0-0, but the actual in-game analysis was very good, and so for those reasons and what we see in training, Gunny said it once early on. It's like everyone's just willing right now, willing to get stuff done, willing to work hard, you saw that in that scrimmage. And again, there's a lot of pieces that we need to improve on, but the willingness is there, and getting a team to work for each other is there. So those are key components to some success down the road.
Go to Luis, and then we have a couple questions on Zoom.
I have a question for Ian, a question for Amanda. Ian, first and foremost, a lot of Pride fans have called this season a fresh start, obviously due to the departure of some veteran leadership. But is the motto and objective the same as last year's, which is winning the NWSL championship? And then to Amanda, Parker Roberts was re-signed by the team, as well as Maggie Doherty-Howard and Kaylee Collins. How much of an impact do you believe they're going to make this roster, not just the play level, but also in the locker room?
It's a new Pride. It's a new Pride, but it's the same goals. Right? We're all here to win. That's the point. The path to that end goal looks a little bit different with who's involved, but end of the day, we're here to win games. Right? We're brought in to do a job, and that's exactly what that job is. And the path there is different. Now it looks a little bit more like a younger path and a development path, and one that we can build on over a course of years. I know I've spoken to this over the past year or so since I've been in the job, is I'm looking today, absolutely. I'm also looking a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and trying to make sure that what we're doing here can bring us sustainable success. That there's a plan, that it's not just year to year winging it and hoping for the best, that there is a plan and we're working towards that.
The three players you mentioned, just want to make sure, Parker, Maggie, and Kaylee. I'll start with Kaylee, fantastic goalkeeper. I'm really familiar with her from her days at SC, shot stopper. She's a young goalkeeper that will just get better and better with experience and time on the field, so we hope to get her some minutes during the Challenge Cup. She's also a leader for her young age, and she's been involved in different committees, and she's on our leadership council for the team. I think she has a very good perspective and just demeanor to her, and it's really important for a goalkeeper to have that calming, but also a presence. Maggie and Parker, great signings. They're both from UF and have that in their blood. I think they want to do well for the Pride, and Maggie. They have different skill sets. They're both midfielders, but Parker's more of that defensive. Can she break things up? Can she be a ball winner and start the attack for us? Maybe help us in the build. Maggie has a little bit more maybe creativity to her game as far as going forward into the attack, and that's what she's more of an 8 than a 6, and she'll add that. And I think she also has some versatility. They both do. They both have some good versatility. We've been playing Parker at center back at times if we need 6. Maggie's been in the 8 and 6 as well. So you love when players are versatile, but also just want to be on the field. And they both have that. Just put me in. I don't care where you put me. Just I want to have an impact on this game, and they have really good energy and attitudes.
We're going to go to Theo Lloyd Hughes on Zoom with Striker Texas.
Hi, I wanted to ask Amanda about what your soccer identity for the team this year is going to be, and then for Ian, how do you make sure you can bring the players to Amanda to get that identity on the pitch, and what's that relationship like?
Yeah, we just have more conversations about that this morning, just with player acquisitions and kind of what our look is going to be and our identity as a possession-oriented team. I think any team that has Marta, quite honestly, should look to build through her and build through the midfield. And we want to break lines. We want to keep the ball. Obviously, there's times to be a little bit more direct or play the territory game, but we've been working hard on those relationships. How can we build and be dangerous? Our movement off the ball, and being like a very very creative, fun attacking style team. And if any of you saw the scrimmage, you saw some of that. Like there was glimpses. There we had some turnovers and transition moments. I think we need some more composure, but. The chances we created and the ability to get forward and commit to the attack was there, and that's what we're going to ask our outside backs to do. We want to have that freedom once we break midline to attack in a variation of ways, and it may look like a 2-front at times, it may look like a 3-front, we might have a 10 running through. So that's, the goal of ours is to make it very unpredictable and hard to defend.
And the key from my perspective is it's communication. It's understanding what the coaching staff needs in order to be successful with the way that they're trying to play. As Amanda mentioned, we're having a conversation this morning about stylistic parts of our team, what we're looking to do, how we're trying to play. And then for me, it's a matter of going out and trying to make sure that the players that we're recruiting, the players that we're bringing in, have the skill sets, have the traits, have the mentality necessary to come into a squad and be able to succeed in the roles that we're going to put them into. What we don't want to do is go out and get a player that we think looks one way and ultimately is not going to be able to fill the needs of the system that we have here. So the key to that process is just making sure that the communication is strong between me and the technical staff, so that we're always on the same page with what direction we're going.
We'll go to Jessa Braun with Just Women's Sports.
Hello. Amanda's talked a lot about relationships on the field. With so many new players, I'm wondering what you guys have seen in terms of players building relationships off the field and how important that is to your success this year.
I think it's really important. I'm always, we're going to do things to help the team culture, whether maybe it's bring in a speaker or specialists in those areas, but also encourage them to do things together. I know it's not college, and you can't they're not in the dorms together, but some of them are in apartments together, and they might have some of the same likes that they share, and we want them to get to know each other really. And one of our scrimmages, we had like a team meal together at a restaurant just so we could sit and talk, and sometimes that's the best way to get to know someone. And take away the cell phones, go to dinner, just not physically take them away, but just put them aside. You know what I mean? Like put their phones aside, actually look at each other and talk, and remind each other how important that is, and share a meal, go to coffee together. And that's one thing with the Leadership Council we've been asking of them, and they've been really good about taking initiative, pulling the younger ones in. And in the end, you want to feel welcome and you want to feel inclusive, and that's what we're trying to build here.
Go to Austin, which might be our final question, unless there's anyone out there.
Amanda, throughout this preseason, you kind of talked about players that you've been familiar with, whether it's coaching them in youth or in UCLA or coaching against them. Coming into the Pride and having a number of players that you've been familiar with and that you've picked up that have been familiar with you, how important has that been for just the transition of having a new coach and kind of getting to know your leadership styles, just having those players that are familiar with you? Yeah,
I think if you were at a practice, you wouldn't know like who the UCLA players were or who played for me. Everyone's kind of on in the same regard there. That in essence, they're all getting used to me again. I haven't coached them, and Viviana is the most recent. It was a year ago. It felt like 5 years at this point with how things have gone in our post-COVID time, and so they're also they're in a new environment too, and so they're kind of seeing how we operate. New staff, so it's a different staff that that they weren't used to as well. So they're meeting some of those challenges just like everybody else. Like just how do we get them used to kind of our philosophies, how we coach, how we approach the game. And someone like Seb being around, he's like a nice continuity in the club from being here in years past. Obviously Ian was here and some of the support staff, so all of that's been great. And like I said, the players are all just really willing, and we've watched training today. I just love the energy. There's times you're like, we're doing one game, we were like, gotta score some more goals, how do we do that? And then the next couple minutes, it's 2-3 goals are going in. And so for me, it's just about, this is like grasping it and really having fun with it, and reminding the players there's so much to be had here still. There's no nothing's set, right? You know, as far as lineups and this, you know, everyone gets a sense of some lineups, but I just always want them to feel like they're always going to be challenged. They're always going to be reaching for the next goal, and you know, whether they know me or not, that's what I want them to feel and start to really believe.
All right. Well, looks like we'll wrap up there. I want to thank everyone for being here, whether in person or on our Zoom. Just as a reminder, the Pride Open play in the Challenge Cup next Saturday, right here at Exploria Stadium, hosting Washington, 7 p.m. kickoff. So we look forward to seeing everyone there. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
We wanted to move back home to be closer to his family. We decided to go with pods because things were stressful enough.
We weren't sure how long we were going to need storage for, so we needed something